The stage is set, a night of splendor on live air. Lights beamed down like celestial lances. The outdoor stage floated above a sea of fans, every face lit with anticipation. Cameras circled like silent falcons as Wang Yibo prepared to speak. Beside him, Songyun Yun stood serene, radiating poise in flowing silk. Xiao Zhan, the unspoken heart of the audience, watched from the side stage, like a ship and shore, connected yet apart. Everyone expected polish, performance, and glances practiced to perfection. Instead, the air shattered. A tremor in the words, the moment it began. Wang Yibo cleared his throat, not the sleek actor preparing a line, but a raw, trembling voice too human for the stage. His eyes glistened under the spotlight. The first word cracked like a metronome misfired. The second word dissolved. It wasn't meant to be drama, it was a breakdown. Live. No rehearsal. No cut. Songyun's expression flickered, from confident grace to startled concern, and then something deeper, soft shock, like a flower caught in sudden rain. Zhan, across the stage, gripped the mic stand, frozen, heart-throttled. That wasn't script. That wasn't showmanship. It was real. 3, flash to the crowd, silence, then a roar. In the arena below, the audience inhaled as one. Phones hovered, recording. Fans leaned as though craning to catch a butterfly before it fluttered away. Then came the roar, a collective gasp followed by emotional cries. Yibo. Yibo, followed by whispers. Songyun, she looks so scared, is he okay? Moments like these, unscripted human heart, send shivers. 4, the message unfolds. Songyun. He stumbled through her name. The world tilted. In an unexpectedly gentle cadence, he spoke. Songyun. He paused, looked straight into the camera, into homes, into hearts. You taught me strength without walls. I'm losing my voice tonight, but I needed you to know, you are the steel beneath my calm. Gasps rippled across the live feed. Songyun's breath caught. She raised a hand to her chest. Her eyes drowned in something deeper than admiration, something tender, almost sacred. 5, the meltdown peaks. Tears on live TV. Yibo's usual ice-cool composure shattered. Tears welled, luminous and sudden. On live broadcast. In real time. His jaw trembled. The stage's glare felt too bright, too sharp for the moment's vulnerability. He swallowed the words, his voice cracking. I'm sorry. I can't. The world held its breath. 6, Songyun's reaction, grace in shock. Songyun, statuesque before, now moved, instinctively stepped forward. Her hand hovered, trembling, before brushing Yibo's arm, gentle, grounding. Her composure cracked too, her own tears threatened. She offered a smile weighted with understanding and poetry. Without a word, she shifted her mic down, letting him lean into her presence like a story being cradled by its own gravity. 7, Zhan's shock, a silent witness. Zhan's camera-side view focused purely on Yibo. Shock glazed his eyes, like he'd seen a private confession in the middle of a concert. His hand slapped the railing. He didn't move forward, he didn't dare. He watched, immobile. The crowd, the chaos, everything faded to black except that raw disclosure. 8. The aftermath, chaos and stillness. Minutes stretched like hours. The band stopped mid-riff. The lights dimmed. Staff swarmed. Songyun moved to shield Yibo with her presence. Zhan turned away, unseen tears glinting. Then, as if on cue, the arena exploded into applause, not for spectacle, but for honesty. It was raw, unscripted, aching. Starstruck spectators realized they'd witnessed a rare thing a star made human. 9. Flash to backstage, the fallout. Backstage corridors teemed with whispers. Assistants, producers, stylists, everyone froze. Did he plan this? Did she? No one knew. The director looked like he'd seen a ghost. Songyun found Yibo behind a curtain, knees weak. She leaned in, whispering, "You're not alone." Zhan lingered at a distance. He caught her eye, there was pain, questions, unspoken bonds. He backed away, shaking them both. 10. Fans erupt. Social media set on fire. Within seconds, no, moments, hashtags lit up. #Yibo breakdown. #Tan support. #Zhan in shock. Fans crafted compilations, his trembling smile, her steady gaze, that fourth wall-breaking plea. Emojis spilled, hearts, teardrops, stunned faces. Artists flooded Relive recreations. Never seen him like that, fans wrote. She's his fortress. Zhan. Broke. 11. Memory in the making, a performance beyond acting. Lessons in performance fell away. It wasn't about a flawless speech or dance routine. It was about the rare collision of spotlight and soul. Songyun became a witness. Zhan, unintended audience. The fans eyewitnesses to unfiltered emotion. 12. What it means for stardom and humanity. In an industry built on glitz, the moment was a confession, even the coolest veneer shatters. Emotional truth matters. It humanizes idols. It reminds us, they are hearts stringed to dreams just like ours. And that admission, bare and brave, echoes in a way no stunt ever could. 13. Epilogue. The story reverberates. Later stood solo, still trembling, Yibo sent a follow-up post, a simple black and white photo of him and Songyun's hands touching. Caption: strength you gave, grace you showed. Thank you. He didn't mention Zhan. But fans read the silence between the lines. Zhan's reaction, private, stony, torn, became part of the legend. Scene-by-scene recap, for dramatic effect. Opening stage, poised celebrities. Wangyibo's tremor, words break. Audience stillness, then roar. The confession, voice faltering, raw. Tears on camera, real and luminous. Songyun's steadying touch, grace under pressure. Zhan's shock, heart on sleeve, unseen. Stage halts, silence louder than music. Backstage tension, truths whispered in halls. Social media explosion, human story goes viral. Lesson, authentic vulnerability trumps perfect performance. Aftermath, quiet thank you speaks volumes. Legacy, a moment now etched in stardom lore. Final thoughts, 100-word wrap-up. In the spectacle of live performance, few things grip more than a star unveiling his cracks and the bold, silent armor of another stepping in when the world watches. Wang Yibo's unscripted meltdown, that tender public confession to Tan Songyun, and the agonized distance in Zhan's gaze, that's not just news. It's human poetry. This moment shone like a comet, blinding, beautiful, unforgettable. It was supposed to be just another flawless night. Beijing's skyline shimmered like a million stars bowing to one stage. The open-air arena was packed shoulder to shoulder, a sea of glowing light sticks and electric hearts pulsing in rhythm. The summer heat pressed down, but the adrenaline ran colder than ice. Nothing could prepare the world for what was about to happen. Wang Yibo, dressed in a sleek obsidian suit embroidered with faint silver threadwork, the kind that glinted only under the right light, stepped forward. The cameras zoomed in automatically, capturing his precise movements with digital worship. Every flick of his hair, every controlled breath. He was, as always, unreadable. Too calm. Too clean. A living legend carved from frost. Beside him stood Tan Songyun, radiant in her signature pastel palette, her delicate charm a contrast to Yibo's intense gravity. She smiled as the host finished a joke. The crowd laughed, and the laughter echoed into the night. And then something shifted. The first fracture. As the microphone was passed to him, Yibo nodded silently. A professional. Always. But his hand paused a second longer than usual before taking it. A single second. That was all it took. His fingers trembled. Only slightly. Barely enough to notice unless you were looking. Tan Songyun noticed. She turned toward him, subtly, the kind of gesture trained in years of stage awareness. Her smile softened, curious. Concerned. She didn't speak. The music faded down. The spotlight held its breath. And Yibo spoke. Thank you all, for coming tonight. 7 words. 7 words said with the weight of a storm pressing on his chest. His voice, typically sharp and smooth as velvet steel, now carried a roughness. A brittle edge. The words didn't bounce, they cracked mid-air. He smiled, faintly, trying to catch the misstep. But it was too late. The silence that followed was too heavy. Unraveling on air. He took another breath. The kind of breath a man takes before diving into cold water, not sure if he'll come back up. Pause. A swallow. A blink. I don't usually say much at these things. You all know that. The audience nodded. Fans leaned in, mesmerized. He was speaking more than usual. That, in itself, was rare. But his eyes. They were scanning the crowd, but not seeing them. He wasn't looking at fans. Or cameras. He was looking for something that didn't exist on that stage. Maybe a memory. Maybe a person. Songyun tilted slightly. The warmth in her face dimmed just a bit. She knew. Something was off. Yibo continued. But sometimes, the stage feels like the only place left where I can tell the truth. The host laughed awkwardly, unsure if it was a setup for a punchline. But Yibo wasn't joking. His jaw clenched. His left hand squeezed the microphone tighter than necessary. There are things I've been carrying for too long. A pause. His eyes closed. And for the first time in his entire career, Wangyibo looked like he was about to break down. Cameras catch everything. From every angle, the lenses zoomed in. You could see the sweat just above his brow, not from heat, but from nerves. One camera caught the fluttering of his eyelids. Another caught his knuckles whitening around the mic. Fans didn't cheer. They didn't scream. They went silent. That rarest moment in the age of performance, stillness. Songyun's brows drew together. Still, she didn't speak. But she did step slightly closer. Just enough that he could feel her presence, like a steady rhythm beside his storm. The crack becomes a shatter. Songyun. Her name on his lips felt like a confession. Her eyes widened. Not dramatically. Not for the cameras. But in real surprise. In genuine, unfiltered human reaction. Yibo blinked again. His voice shook, barely audible. I've admired how you carry yourself. You never seem to crack. But I'm at my limit. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Somewhere, a girl sobbed. Another whispered, "He's really saying this, Liv." Songyun took a half step forward, enough to close the emotional chasm beginning to open between them. Yibo turned to her for the first time, eyes glossed. Not red. Not swollen. Just wet. Real. I didn't know where else to say this. But I'm tired of hiding behind perfect lines and silent glances. She opened her mouth, but the moment caught her, and she closed it. Instead, her hand rose, gently, like she was trying not to disturb a wild animal, and rested lightly on his elbow. The contact grounded him. And in that one frame, Yibo with tears in his eyes, Songyun steadying him, the arena still as the moon, the moment turned immortal. The crowd responds, not with applause, but emotion. No one clapped. That would have felt wrong. Instead, the entire stadium seemed to exhale together, like a spell had been cast and broken at once. People looked at each other, strangers connected by raw humanity. They whispered, "Is he okay? Did he just confess something to her?" That wasn't rehearsed. Phones were shaking. Hearts, too. Zhan watches, unmoving. From stage left, barely visible behind the curtain, Xiao Zhan watched. He wasn't scheduled to appear until the next segment. But he was there. He saw it all. And he didn't move a muscle. His face unreadable. His breath caught somewhere between the chest and throat. No one saw him. Except maybe Songyun. Just for a second. Final scene, the microphone drops lower. Yibo's hand began to lower the mic. He couldn't continue. Words had fled him, burned out in the fire of truth. His breathing was shallow but no longer shaking. He looked at Songyun one more time. No words. Just a nod. She returned it, soft, tender, and infinite. A single spotlight dimmed. And the music that followed wasn't a performance. It was recovery. It was real.
So once again, from all of us at K-Romance Central, thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe in love again, Or if you just want to stay updated on every twist in this breathtaking saga, backhand index pointing right, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification button for more juicy K-drama updates. Because this is K-Romance Central, and here, we don't just report stories. We bring the romance to life. Sparkling Heart.